I'll go ahead and get started then so we can be timely and efficient. Welcome and good morning. My name is Morgan Simonette, the Director of Membership and External Affairs here at the Howard County Chamber. I just wanted to thank you all for joining us today. We have a really exciting program for you. I also wanted to thank the YPN committee, especially Nick Barrick and Zachary for putting this together. And I'm really happy to see a lot of familiar faces. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun, and I'm gonna then pass it on to Nick to go ahead and do some intros, and I hope you all have a really great day.
Sure. Thank you very much, Morgan. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the YPN February Celerate series. My name is Nick Barrick. I'm a Vice President at KCI and Chair of the YPN Board of Directors. Now, while I'm the chair, and Morgan said that I helped put this on, really all the thanks go to Kelsey and Mark and the rest of the YPN team, the Celerate committee, for hosting this today and putting together a great event. So, again, we have a great program planned for today. Thank you for being here. Before we get into it, I wanted to take a second and plug an upcoming mixer for next Wednesday. The YPN's mission is to help young professionals grow. Two ways we do that is through the Celerate series, like we're here today for, as well as for general networking opportunities. The mixer is the way we host that networking opportunity. Next Wednesday, we're holding a networking event from 4 to 5 p.m. virtually through Zoom. Delegate Jess Feldmark with the Howard County delegation will be with us, doing a Q&A at the beginning and kind of letting us know what's happening down in Annapolis. Following the Q&A, we'll have a networking for about 30 minutes or so using 3-person breakout rooms. So please visit the Chamber's website and sign up today. So the YPN works to help young professionals, and we can't do that without our wonderful sponsors. YPN Celerate series is sponsored by McFarland Insurance. McFarland Insurance was founded in 1939 and is dedicated to providing all your insurance needs, from large commercial accounts, contract surety bonding, group life and health plans, to your personal automobile and homeowners policies. McFarland's located here in Howard County, right on Guilford Road. With us today is Matt Anderson. Matt's a past YPN chair and member of the McFarland team. Matt, I'll turn the mic over to you to give us a little more information on McFarland.
All right. Good morning, everybody. And Nick, thank you for that wonderful intro. I'm sure everybody is thrilled to listen to an insurance guy talk at 9 o'clock in the morning. And Nick covered all the high points. We are a local, independently owned and operated insurance brokerage here in Howard County. As you guys go through life changes, both personally and professionally, we're here to help. Whether it's purchasing your first home, or stepping into a leadership role, at your business, or starting your own business, we can assist you with all of that. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or just want some free advice with your insurance and risk management needs. And thank you to Nick and the YPN team. You guys are near and dear to my heart as a previous YPN chair, and it's great to be here this morning with everyone and see YPN continuing to thrive. I'm happy I didn't burn it to the ground during my tenure a few years ago. So thank you so much, guys, and looking forward to this morning's session.
Thanks, Matt. Now let's get to the reason why we're all here today, Celerate. So today we're going to be discussing your most important skills for the future. So with us today is Zachary Cochran. He's also a fellow YPN board member and founder and coach at the Cochran Coaching Group. Zachary is going to lead today's event and will talk us through the understanding of our unique strengths and skill sets. So thank you very much, Zachary, for being with us today. And I'm going to go ahead and turn everything over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And it's a real pleasure to see everyone who made it this morning. And man, this is great. Not everyone takes the plunge to invest in themselves. And so it's a really, it's a pretty cool thing to see when people show up for that. So with that, we have an opportunity to invest in ourselves by taking a skills assessment. I'm going to debrief you on your results after you take it. And then we're going to even break you into small groups so you can ask, okay, what's my biggest takeaway from this and what next steps should I be taking to apply what I've learned? And then we'll wrap up right at the hour. So with that, you may have already taken the assessment, and if you did because you wanted more time or just because you're an overachiever, that's fine. I actually, I have another assessment that is a favorite of mine that I'm going to let you take while everyone else is working on the original one, and it's called the 4 Tendencies. Trust me on it, that one is an excellent one, so it's definitely worth taking if you've already taken SkillsScan. If you haven't taken SkillsScan, this is your time to do that. So what I'm going to do is put up a countdown clock. You have about 15 minutes to do the assessment. If you haven't yet seen the email in your inbox, you can go there now and pull that up. The email probably came in around 5:40 yesterday, and more than likely ended up in your junk mail if you didn't see it, because it was sent through SkillsScan by me, which often flags email servers. So for that, go ahead and just click into that. I've got some brief instructions on do's and don'ts. Again, this is a little more of a probably a workshop than a webinar. So it's kind of this weird hybrid, but the goal for you right now will be to click into that and go ahead and take that assessment. You can stay on mute. You can even turn off your video if you want, but we'll reconnect in about 15 minutes. If you have any challenges as you're doing this assessment, just direct message me within Zoom and I'll do my best to respond to you. And again, if you are one of those overachievers, here's your other assessment that you can take while you're waiting for everyone to complete it. I love the 4 Tendencies because it helps you to understand how you responded to expectations. And out of probably 6 different assessments I use in my career coaching business, this is one of my favorites. All right, so enough talking. I'm going to put on some light study music as well as this timer, and feel free to, again, just jump in to that assessment. We'll be back in about 15 minutes or so. Okay, so again, feel free to keep working in the background. If you haven't completed it yet, you can just either mute me or just bring my volume down lower as you get finished. But for those of you who are finished, I want to just give you a little bit more background on why SkillsScan is one of the best assessments that I use. And it has to do with a process that that everyone uses when they are developing their career. And so before I actually show you the report here, what I'd like to do is to show you just a quick graphic that describes the career development process that I use. So whether you're just starting in your career or whether you've been in your career a long time, we all tend to go through a process that looks something like this, multiple steps. One, we have to be sort of mentally and emotionally ready to work on ourselves and to develop a career design or a career plan in order to get anywhere. But before we can move anywhere, we also have to do self-assessment. We don't understand who we are. We can't line up who we are with what we do. And so this falls into the SkillsScan assessment, falls into that stage of the process. Very, very important to be able to do self-assessment. Again, if you don't understand your strengths, if you don't understand how you're wired, you're not going to end up in the right fit as far as your role or even the company that you're at, or maybe even the industry or career. Once you have a better sense of who you are, again, taking assessments is a great way to do this. You're going to have a clear target or action plan as to where you want to go. Oftentimes, it's not super linear. It's just, hey, I know I'm headed in the right direction. And then, of course, nothing happens unless you start doing something. And so momentum is often, taking little steps in the right direction. Maybe that's developing a new habit to help you in your career. Maybe that's talking to a coach. Maybe that's finding a mentor. Lots of ways you can start to build momentum as you develop yourself in your career. So that's where that fits, where what we're doing today fits within the larger career development process as I see it. And I'm going to jump over to the results here, and we can talk about those. All right, so I'm going to take about 10 minutes right now to explain these results. I just took the report recently. I'm going to use my report for reference. You can follow along with yours. If you want to download a PDF version, so you're not toggling between windows, you can also do that here in the download report button on the top right. But this is, again, one of my favorite assessments. Short story on this. So as I started my career coaching business, it was actually a mentor who introduced me to this assessment, and it helped me to get a clarity on what my top skills and skill sets were. My results have changed a little over the last 4 years since I took this for the first time, and I've realized I started to have more creative skills. But as far as where your skills mix is, it's going to probably differ, probably very widely from mine, because everyone's results are very different. So with that, let's jump into the first section here, and I'll explain as we go. And again, once we're done with this explanation, we're going to form you into smaller groups so you can discuss what's your takeaway from your report, what next step do you want to take. Okay, so personal skill chart. So as the first section of the report, this helps you understand out of the 6 different skill categories, what are those categories? And specifically, what are the skills within which that you're either very strong at or you're not so strong at. So if you scroll to the bottom of that page or section, you'll see the score key. And it's essentially just simple multiplication. If you're highly proficient at a skill, that's a 3. If it's high importance to you, that's a 4. That equals 12. Similarly, 3 and 3, 2 and 4, 2 and 3, and 2 and 2. Anything below 4 is not captured on the report. And in some cases, you may even see that there are skills that are, dropped off out of the 9 skills that are supposed to be on this page. And that's probably because they're a burnout skill. You said they're highly important. It's something you're highly proficient at, but it's a very low importance to you. All right, so again, this mix is different for everyone. For me, I use a lot of relationship, communication, and creative skills in my work. As I help people to design new careers, I talk to them in coaching sessions. I have to build rapport with them. And so these are some of the ways in which I'm living into my strengths in my career path. Additionally, I have some management or leadership skills. The 8s here are sort of those skills that I want to develop more. So I'm already, moderately proficient at, but I want to become highly proficient at those skills. If you're seeing some 9s, 9s didn't show up on my report, but those are more support skills. That's almost the inverse. That's something you're really, already very good at. It's just less important to you. And the whole philosophy here is to focus on your strengths. And as far as these other lower skill categories, probably not focus so much. So if you see a lot of physical technical skills, that's typical of people who are more in a trades vocation or something along those lines. And, that may be interesting to note, and could be, if you're frustrated sitting in front of a computer every day, well, maybe, your high degree of physical technical skills would explain why. That also could be, of course, not just for trades, but if you're in a technology related business, you might see more of those analytical or technical skills. Okay, so these 9 skills per skill category are now grouped into sets of skills. So your skill set portfolio captures the top, say, 4 to 6 or so of your skill sets. And these skill sets, nice color wheel here to show you what they are, particularly your highest ones. As you scroll down through your report, you'll see that they're grouped by skill category. So my relationship skills are grouped to the top, communication, creative, etc. But my service and support skill is slightly lower than, say, the core communication skill. And so this is a good time, if you have your report up, just identify what your top 3 skill sets are. For me, back when I first took this the first time, it was counsel teach, service and support, and analysis and problem solving. And all 3 of those have still remained on my report. But what was not on my report from when I took this 4 years ago were those intuition and invention skills. And that's because as my career has developed and as I've realized more of what it means to be an entrepreneur and to help people design their career paths, I've realized I need to focus more on my creative skills to help them do that. So these skills do change over time. It's a little bit less like personality, which is generally fixed. Skills you can develop. And so this could certainly change, but we don't typically find it changes too much. All right. So again, part of the value here is that you have some language now to describe what it is that you're good at. And these skills and skill sets could show up on a resume. They could be a part of your LinkedIn profile. And it could also serve as a guide as to what your next role or job or just in general your career path would look like, which if you're a job hunter or if you're looking for a career change would be why you might use this next page, the career guides page. All right, so the career guides page essentially says, okay, we've discovered what are your skills, we've figured out your top skill sets. Now let's look at what you can do with those skill sets. If you were to go and scroll down this list, you'll see they offer a lot of different educational options. So this assessment can be used with high school students who are looking to, figure out where they want to go for college, what they want to major in. But for most of us who are in the young professionals category, we'll see some of the career options that maybe we've done previously or that we have had some interest in. And this helps to explain why. So for me, when I first took this assessment, it was interesting. It stood out that career counseling was at the top of the list, which was a good sign for me. Adult education is sort of in many ways where I'm trying to go in the work that I'm doing, is to not just help people for a short-term basis figure out what's their next job, but over the long haul of their career, how can they invest in themselves personally and professionally? And so it was great to see that that showed up there as a career option as well. Now, there are many more options. And so if you were to click into the expanded guides section of your report, you'll actually see 50 or 60 different options that you could choose from. And from there, if you clicked into, say, your top one here, in my case, business and executive coaching, that takes you to a list of, on ONET Online, a number of different career paths or really job titles that you could potentially be a fit for. So again, this is a lot to explore if you wanted to do that, but most people will find that it serves as a validator for the path that they're already on. Okay, so as you can see, lots of different options. There is some overlap. Each of these expanded guides is a little different. It can quickly get overwhelming, but again, use this more as a frame of reference. Now, for most of us who are in a career that we enjoy or that we feel good about, skill development is where we'll spend the bulk of our time. And so that is to say that if a skill is something that I can acquire as I continue to practice it, then I need some training suggestions and skill development tips that would help me to develop those skills to become better at what I'm already good at, right? So this is sort of a philosophy, again, of build on your strengths. In this case, I've identified a handful of skills that I'd love to grow in. And so that's part of why I gamed the assessment here a little bit. I made sure they were 8s so that I could see what my skill development suggestions were. And so again, this goes down the list. Any of those 8s from your first page will show up here with some great tips and suggestions, can be really beneficial. In fact, while we're on the topic, negotiation is a really key skill to learn. If you didn't get that, you can even screenshot this here. Just as a teaser, we'll be introducing our next Celerate event that will focus on negotiation, but I'll let my colleagues speak to that more. So these tips, again, they're great. Now, it's possible you don't have anything on this page, and that's okay. Some people say, yep, already good at what I'm doing, don't need to develop my skills. And certainly you can find other ways to advance in your career without just focusing on skill development. All right, as the sort of last page here, there's a strategic skill profile. And this is sort of that summary of your top strengths. And it breaks those 12s, 9s, and 8s down into what are your dominant, your support, and your high potential skills. And so this is, again, really great if you were, say, in a career transition, trying to figure out what's next, or if you're just, wanting to make sure that you're living into your strengths. I would say it's best if you can be living into these top skills here, again, including your high potential and support skills, about 80% of the time. if you're only working in this domain of your top strengths, 50% of your time or less, you're just not going to be really happy in the work that you're doing. You're going to feel like something's off. Case in point, when I was in high school, I thought I wanted to do video production as a major and as a career. And so I, tested it out. I used a camcorder, filmed little home videos. I even synced up with some professionals and had them kind of teach me through internships and apprenticeships how to do that video production. The problem was I realized that process, I just did not enjoy it. And so video production as a hard skill doesn't show up on this list of transferable or soft skills, but this would be one of those areas that would be a burnout skill for me. So I made the mistake later on in my career as I was working in New York City at a tech company to say, oh yeah, I can do video production. You've got this video production equipment here. I'm in a marketing role, right? Like, let me do this. I'll help you out. And of course, remembered that there was a reason why I said I did not enjoy doing video production. And it was just that the editing process was tedious for me. I did not enjoy the minute details of trying to, edit videos. And so in general, I tried to limit my my video editing or video production in my career going forward. So that's why I don't do that professionally anymore.
Zachary,
All right.
Can I ask a question? I think I just want to make sure I understood you. So on this page, your you're saying if you just focus, or if all of your job kind of, I guess, duties fall into the top skill, you won't be happy. So you should be mixing it with kind of your non-dominant. Is that what you said, or did I hear that wrong?
So sorry for not being clear, Lynn. Actually the opposite of what you've said. So I would say in general, you do want to live into your strengths. These are your strengths that you've identified. And so while all of us need to just sort of push the envelope and to grow and learn new things, and it's best when we're uncomfortable, there's a certain level of misalignment that happens. So for example, you don't see a whole lot of those green physical technical skills on here. So if I'm doing a career path that really requires that I use a lot of technical skills, I'm not going to enjoy it. It's going to be, of low importance, of low interest to me. And that'll be a misfit and a sign that I should be changing my career direction. So again, the philosophy of do what you're strong at and continue to build your strengths.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was just, that's why I needed clarification. I kind of figured I heard you wrong. Oh, thank you.
Yep. So that's actually perfect, because before we go to breakout groups in a couple minutes here, I wanted to give you an opportunity to ask any quick questions. By the way, there's sort of this nice appendix page here with different next steps, and particularly those burnout and low interest skills. And you can see for me, I have some burnout and low interest skills. And you probably will as well. So I'm going to stop sharing this. And again, if you have a question, this is a little more informal. We'll just take 2 or 3 questions now, and then Lynn will put us in breakout groups in a moment. Any questions? You can just unmute and ask.
Zachary, I have a quick question. I'm kind of split in terms of like a certain category. I think under leadership, like where I've got some that are 12 and some that are like a 6. So what type of like insight would that mean between those two like differentials within the same category?
Yeah, great question, Kelsey. And one of the answers to that one could be that there are leadership skills and organization or management skills. And so you may find that most of your skills fall more on the leadership side of things or more on the organization side of things, which should show up in your skill sets. And that might be an indicator as to where you would focus. I find that those who have more of those organizational or management skills are good at things like project management or mid-level management. Those who have developed strong leadership skills may be, running their own businesses, or working in that direction. Great question. Any other questions before we go to breakout to talk about our reflections here?
I also have a question. Hi, Zachary. So I have an immigrant background. I guess half my 20-some years was in a different culture and language with different skill sets. And now I've, as immigrant, most worked as a CPA, very analytical work, and sort of that becomes dominant skill. I'm definitely developing business, so now it's moving need of leadership, communication, and so I see a shift for sure, because my first career is education, and now, so yeah, so I guess that my question is that now I've like developed my weakness for past 20 years that have become my strength, and it's flipped around of my like natural tendency, natural I guess what I used to like.
Right. Yeah. So, May, it's a good comment and question. I'd say that the philosophy that I'm using of build your strengths is one of multiple philosophies around how to develop your career. And some people will say, you know what, I have a direction that I'm really passionate about or really interested in, so I'm going to develop the skills even though I don't have them. And at some point, that was probably all of us. And so there's not necessarily a right and wrong. It's not a black and white answer here. But certainly it helps to inform if you're enjoying the path that you're on, well, then that's because you probably developed a level of competence with the skills that you use regularly. And if you're not enjoying it, that's when you can say, well, I need to look back at my interests and at my skills to say, here's why I'm not enjoying the job that I'm in. So great question. And that actually reminds me, if you'd like to talk more about your specific results, I'm happy to talk with you afterwards. There will be an opportunity for you to do a quick feedback survey and indicate that at the end. But I do want to give us about 10 minutes now to actually have a breakout, and you can share in a smaller group of about 4 or 5 people what your thoughts are on your report. The 2 questions I'll ask you to consider is 1, what was my biggest takeaway from the report? And 2, what is the next step I'd like to take in response, right? Knowing that momentum is really important to actually make a change. So with that, Lynn, if you can go ahead and break us up into smaller groups.
Thank you.
All right, see you in a breakout room. It is absolutely a challenge to try and cover all of what we covered in an hour. And so thank you for, again, dipping your toes in the water here. Because this is a networking event as well, this would be a good time. If you have a LinkedIn profile you'd like to share, just go ahead and drop that in the chat. I've just dropped mine so you can connect with me later. Would love to do that. And as I mentioned, there's a short feedback survey. It's 3 questions that if you don't mind taking as soon as we're done, that would be wonderful. That's the form in the chat as well. And it just lets you raise your hand essentially and say, hey, yeah, I'd like to be involved in future diagnostic surveys or webinars hosted by Cochran Coaching LLC. Of course, to talk about what else the Chamber is doing, I'm going to hand it over to Kelsey. So thank you again for your attention, and have a great rest of your week, everyone.
Yeah, this was such a great thing. Thank you so much, Zachary. I was joking that we were in our chat and I was talking about how my burnout skill, now that you may be asking me to do some type of design or something, just because it might be my burnout there. So really appreciate everybody taking the time to connect today. A lot of what we do in the YPN is really to connect everybody to each other. So I would highly recommend everybody connecting after this call today, or if you want to have follow-up, coffees or things like that with the people that you spoke with today. It's a great opportunity. And I know if anybody wants to connect with me and ask me about my burnout skills, I'm happy to let's lay them all out there. So with the Chamber, we've got a couple really exciting events coming up. Nick had started talking about our event that we have coming the soonest, which is our mixer that's coming up on March 3rd from 4 to 5 o'clock. That is going to be in a breakout environment as well. So you'll be able to speak with lots of folks and connect with them on a more personal level. The first 20 to register who are members are free. So definitely get those tickets. I'm not sure if they may be going by the day. So make sure that you take a look out for that. And then we do have our next Celerate coming up in April, which will be on negotiation. And one of the exciting things about that is we're going to be talking about negotiating maybe prices for the products you sell or negotiating the salary that you get when you're coming into a new job. So really exciting topic. And we're going to have some wonderful speakers for that. So that is all we have for you today. Thank you guys so much for coming. Appreciate everybody getting on video too. As a work from home employee, this is like the most socialization I'm going to get throughout the day. So everybody have a great rest of your week. And like I said before, feel free to connect after this. Have a good one.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.